Hey there, designers. So this week's assignment in the sketchbook is pretty different than normal. So usually your sketchbook assignments are these little sketches that might be kind of separate from what you're doing the rest of the week. This week, the sketchbook assignment, first of all, is really big. I want you using whole sheets of paper. Second, it is absolutely foundational to the planning assignment. So the sketchbook assignment will lead to the planning assignment, will lead to the project directly. And then the third is it's pretty hands-on and it involves finding and creating materials. So you can create all of your materials, but for some of these you can also find materials. So you see there's more that I'm asking for you, but some of them can be found. Directions below. There are also farther below, there are videos showing you how to draw things, how to plan things, some other materials you might use, some other techniques you can use. But to begin with here, I want to show you, so we're doing texture and pattern, and these are a couple of wrapping paper, I think this one is, maybe tissue paper with a texture on it. I have a bunch of materials. I keep stuff, right? I do art stuff all the time, so I hang on to this stuff. This one's a little bit transparent, which is kind of nice. I have some of these papers that have texture built in. This is a mulberry paper that I just purchased, didn't make myself. You can find lots of papers with textures on them at craft stores, at art stores, wallpaper, obviously, wrapping paper as well. I said wallpaper, I don't think I showed the wallpaper yet. So all of those kinds of materials you're totally fine to use. If you want to, you can go purchase them, but you do not need to purchase. You can also look around. You can create all of these for one, and you can also look around at what you already have in the house. Most of those were either, or half of those maybe, were salvaged from some sort of wrapping or some kind of package. Speaking of salvaged, I've got a couple of pieces here that are like doilies. These you can use, or even lace doilies, for either a transfer, a rubbing transfer, or for a material itself, because it's got both pattern and texture. Now, there's also lots of examples of things you can create, and I want to show you some. Some are easier, some are harder. So some of this is about to get advanced. So here is an example of kind of a pattern. It's fairly subtle. This is cyanotype paper or like light transfer paper. So this is material you can buy at like a craft store. And what we did is we put little, I think little rubber bands on it and left it out in the sun. And then the color changed and it created that pattern, that texture. You can create something similar if you take a bunch of rubber bands or rings or something like that and do a rubbing. And so rubbing is in a video down below showing you how to do that. But I've been collecting some materials that made fairly good rubbing transfers. This piece is taped together because it had to be a particular shape, but it transferred for like a fish scale technique. It's just some window screen. And like a little bag with some mesh to it. This one's like a cutting board, I guess, but it's got a texture to it. So toys, Legos. I've got a piece of wood here. It's too big. It's under stuff, so I'm not going to pick it up, but it's a piece of wood with texture. Lots of those things can be used for that texture transfer, the rubbing. I also have some other materials. So here is one sheet of handmade paper. Handmade paper is actually not that difficult to make. You need, depending what kind you make, you need a screen or two, water, and either a blender or that you can use for putting paper in, or you can actually shake it up if you do it with toilet paper. But you know, this one's a bit more work. If you're really interested, I'll hook you up with videos and stuff how to do it. But also handmade papers bought at stores would be fine as well. I have some examples of marbling. So these are marbled papers that I've made or kids have made when I've worked with them over the years. That's another technique that you have to have some materials for. But this is one that actually doesn't require much. These are both bubble papers. I got a big one over here too. And these were all made by children because I used to teach children's classes and I would have them make these papers and then they'd have fun making them, but they wouldn't keep them. But notice that these are patterns, maybe even textures, implied textures. What this is if you have some bubble blowing, you know, like little kids blow bubbles outside, if you have that bubble blowing mix, or if you make it out of like soap and water, you can add a little bit of paint into it and blow with it. In fact, down below, I have a video where the lady has added coffee, and the coffee is the dye. This is not very difficult to make. It's kind of fun to do. Beware, if you put paint in your bubbles and blow them inside, you might stain stuff, so do it outside. Or at your enemy's house. A couple other things, just thinking about texture. So I'm going to show you a separate video. I've got videos below, but I'm going to show you one as well. You can use your Mod Podge, I'm sorry, Mod Podge, you don't have PVA glue that you've got in your kit to make some textures. You can also cut out textures. I actually use like a, I don't know what it is. It's a stamp machine, but you know, hole punch, right? You can make textures or patterns that have negative space that you can see through them. And then one more I've got here. This is just a folded piece of paper. It's origami technique. I'll see if I stick a video in of origami technique. But it's just folds, but the folds have created an interesting texture where it's an actual texture. We get shadow and things like that. So I'm hoping that you have fun with this assignment, but you've also got lots and lots of options. So down below I've got tons of videos. And if you think something's missing, I haven't shared everything. So if you want to know a particular texture, a particular pattern, how to make something, you can also find videos for it online. Thanks.